Who was the coolest kid in your high school? Where is he and she now? Crazy.
That is
crazy. A conversation.
That is crazy.
What?
That is crazy. Do you want to go first?
This is lit.
Me, you, and the driver, we gotta get this photo together. We gotta get this selfie.
Oh, open it. Have you got a bag? A bag for fucking what? You grocery shopping or something? You doubling up on these bags?
I was like, wow, women are incredible.
I've been out here every single weekend since I've been doing this, picking up people who have had amazing nights.
Off, mum, I'm sleeping. I'm staying here. Leave me alone.
I mean, I've always said this anyway, that this thing has killed me, but I can see I've aged. I look at my beard, mad grey hairs. It is mad.
I love what football's made me become as a person.
Okay.
There's a level of resilience, and I think that early stage of being told no. Like I remember my first no, and I was at Brentford. I remember when you guys took us to Brentford.
Okay, cool. At that given point, I remember what I did is I went travelling. So what I did, I spoke to someone who I knew was at Brentford, and I sent a number of you over there.
Yes,
obviously, I know one or two people signed. I think signed.
Yes, signed. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
But even with that, it was like because I think. And the reason why you play such a significant part of my life is because the reason why I was even late and stuff was because of that travel, that transport, it's that support, you know what I mean, to kind of get to these places. So, but then yeah, I feel like I love what football's made me become, and who I am now.
Maybe you can explain obviously what you do, because if I'm honest, I don't really know what you do. I just see you talking on stages and stuff like that.
And it's very interesting because I feel like people don't understand, and to be fair, I'm still trying to understand myself.
Okay,
so
cool.
I think there's different layers to me, and I think that's what I'm navigating. So I went to university, I had finished A levels and I studied sociology and psychology at the time. I loved it as subjects to learn, but I didn't want it as a profession because I understood that as a profession, you're talking about social work, social care, and all this type of stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so for me, it was like, okay, cool. Like, this is not really something I can kind of carry on and take into a career per se.
Okay.
But my dad really wanted me to go to university.
Okay.
But I always speak about how there was ultimatum. I don't know if you've seen that. It's like how my dad said, if you want to go uni, if you don't want to go uni.
So is this something you put on your socials?
Yes.
I've not seen it, so please send it to me.
Yeah. So my dad basically said, and obviously Andrew knows my dad, and it literally type beat for sure. And my dad was like, okay, cool. If you don't go uni, you have to leave the house.
Okay, cool.
And I dropped out of university.
So you went to uni, dropped out?
It lasted 3 months, yeah.
Okay, cool.
But the thing is, I felt so lost. Like when I say lost, as in, bro, I'm a man with zeal. I'm a lad that has a lot of passion. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But also at the same time, I didn't want to lie to myself for the sake of looking good, and representing this African culture or this ethnic and moral culture where you have to go to education the only right route. Do you know what I'm saying? I didn't want to go there and just waste my time. So I left, and I obviously packed my stuff and left the house as well. And then I moved back to here in Acton because I was with my dad. And yeah, I think, and so ever since then, basically, I've been navigating life. But I've also been documenting my story as an individual.
Okay, cool.
And I think every individual has different layers to them. So I was saying this the other day, even this morning, like, by the grace of God, I'm a Christian, born again Christian. I'm a Manchester United supporter. I'm Congolese. I love to dance. Like I like business. Do you know what I'm saying? I like speaking to people. Different layers, and this whole analogy of society telling you that you live by your job title is actually complete nonsense to me. Do you know what I'm saying? Because it's like you are your job title. So if I tell you who I am, the first question you're gonna ask me is, what do you do?
I hate that, by the way.
But I do so many different. Do you know what I'm saying? Okay. I have so many different layers, and it's so funny. Sorry, just to interject.
No.
One thing I want to therefore add is like we grew up in an education system where you were allowed to be a mathematician, an English lit student. You're allowed to be an athlete at lunch. Do you know what I mean? Or like, and then you became an artist by after before school and an extracurricular. And then I come out of education now, and you've compressed all my subjects until I decide one uni degree. It's so mad to me. Like, so I could be this person in the morning, then this by lunch, and I'm getting different grades on it. But now by the time I'm grown, I'm still discovering life. You now box me into one, and I don't think that's that. So I'm an individual. I'm a personal brand. But obviously I do brand partnerships. I do work with brands. help them with their culture, the intellectual culture, and just helping brands kind of definitely connect to community. But as well as that, I'm an advocate. So the best way to describe it is definitely like a creative advocate or a creative activist.
Cool. And how did you get into that? Sorry, by the way, so before you answer that question, what I wanted to say is that when I've seen you on social media, it's of no surprise you do what you do, and the reason being I've found it funny to me personally is that you were always very inquisitive, always ask questions. Always ask questions. Sometimes
you have to give them the age. You have to give them age.
So you're talking about like, is 10 too early?
Yeah, because I think I met you 7, 8.
Yeah, so there you go. Yeah,
he's gotta be for Fulham and stuff.
Yeah, so I'm gonna say 8 might be too young. Anyway, 8. I think it was maybe 8, 9. I'm not too sure.
Wow. Okay. Cool.
So like, I can remember like from maybe a little bit older than that, you always used to ask questions. I used to think sometimes too many questions.
Yeah.
But you used to ask questions. So again, back to with what you're doing now, you seem quite inquisitive in terms of your journey and what you're trying to navigate. That I find it interesting and in some respect even funny that you are who you are.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Who was the coolest kid in your high school? Where is he and she now? Crazy.
That is
crazy. A conversation.
That is crazy.
What?
That is crazy. Do you want to go first?
This is lit. I need to show the guys. Yeah, carry on, bro. Chat to me.
Okay, I don't even know how to answer this because I don't know where this is gonna go in terms of. I really don't know.
Yeah.
But this is what I'm gonna say. Actually,
cool.
I think a lot of my friends. Actually, I'm not gonna be specific. Actually.
Yeah. Let's not be specific.
Yeah, let's not be specific. All right. I'm gonna say a lot of my friends. All right, because I think we hung around in a big group. A lot of us are doing quite well.
Okay. Nice.
Do you know what I mean? A lot of us are now like, I'm 39, turning 40, so a lot of my friends are just a little bit older than me in some respect.
Yeah.
And I would say that a lot of us are now fathers. I'm not a father. I'm not a father. So a lot of us are now fathers. And no, that's a lie. Not a lot of us. A few of us are fathers now.
Yeah.
You know, raising families, in relationships, all that type of stuff. Again, back to what I was saying earlier, in good jobs. So like a lot of us are doing quite well. And I'm honest, I'm quite proud of my group of friends as well, because I would say maybe 20 years ago, and even now to some extent, there might have been stigmas on, you know, what young black boys were and who they're going to be and what they're going to achieve. Whereas I think we've kind of broken the mold in regards to that. Yes, we're going through a difficult time in regards to like where we are in society, but I would think that like a lot of us have done quite well for ourselves. Me personally, that's what I think anyway.
So you're happy with what is going on in that aspect?
I'm very happy, man.
Yeah,
I'm very happy, man, because I think it could have easily been different, you know, given what the narrative was at that given time. You know, I think a lot of us have had to navigate loads of different things in regards to actually this is what I wanted to do, but this is what I'm doing now, or you know, just family stuff and life. But I think everyone is generally doing quite well, man. Everyone's quite happy, you know. Yeah.
Okay, so from a friendship group perspective, for sure, I think I very much can echo that. I wouldn't say we were the coolest group. Do you know what I mean? I feel like cool is very much subjective. For sure.
It is. Yeah.
But I feel like we've definitely surprised people.
Okay, cool. That's good.
Definitely switched the narrative, or you know, didn't fulfill the stigma that was against young black men in general. Alongside what I do, I very much have a lot of friends that have graduated at the race and doing well, but also at the same time, guys are navigating. Do you know what I mean? I feel like we still hold each other account to what they're doing. Everyone's achieving. So I feel like even just as young black men in general, I feel like we have a responsibility of just changing the narrative, and I think that's actually what's going on. If that makes sense. But if I was to ask about like people that I thought would do very well, that's a different conversation for sure.
Yeah.
Like people that I thought that were really, even the people that we kicked ball with though, or I kicked ball with, I'm telling you. There's a story in that, Andrew, I'm telling you.
There is, and although I think both of us are trying to circumnavigate not answering that question, all right? Trying to circumnavigate not answering that question, I'm just gonna say it's not easy. Do you know what I mean? Because life is very difficult. Do you know what I mean? And for one reason or another, sometimes like I don't know how I come across on camera or on socials in regards to posting my story or having all my conversation with people, but like life has been very, very difficult. Do you know what I mean? For myself, and I'm sure other people too. And what I've realized in being a driver is I think it's very easy to judge people by what they look like, you know, judge people by the cover, do you know what I mean? But like when you get into deeper conversation, you begin to understand people a lot more. You realize there's a lot that goes on beneath the surface, do you know what I mean?
100%.
So
I agree.
I've learned that, like, not to be too judgmental. I know it's very easy, but don't be too judgmental, do you know what I'm saying? So irrespective of where somebody was in high school in terms of being the coolest or being that baller, do you know what I mean? I'm not not necessarily talking about on the field, but off the field as well.
Yeah, having the
some things would happen, or life will happen, and unfortunately, you know, or fortunately or unfortunately, you know, people have to circumnavigate or navigate those situations. And also, it's very easy even right now to be judgmental of how someone has
come out of education, all that
quote unquote even fallen. All right, life is not over. Do you know what I mean? Life is not over. I'm 39. All right, and there may be people who are, sorry, those who I went to high school might be 39, and in some respect, you know, yes, they may have fallen off given where they were when we were in school or what have you, but they've still got time to turn their life around, and that goes for any and anybody, if I'm honest.